So like I said in a previous video, there's a lot of Nintendo Switch 2 news coming out today, April 7th, 2025. We covered a bunch of it already in separate videos, and obviously I can't cover everything in one single video without said video being like an hour long almost or something, because there's a lot of news. But hopefully you guys have been appreciating all the coverage here on the channel. If you do, be sure to leave a like, subscribe for more. It really helps with the channel more than you actually think when you interact. To leave a comment, let me know your thoughts, whatever. It really helps with the channel. If you don't like the content, let me know what you dislike so I can improve the content in the future. Obviously, we're trying to get bigger and better at what we do here on the channel, especially going into the next generation of Nintendo, hardware and software. It's gonna be a good year, man. I'm excited. But we got three things to talk about. Three main things. I'm gonna lump them all into one category because these are ironically three different things that Nintendo Switch 2 does not have. So it all kind of fits under the same umbrella. So we're gonna talk about that. One of them I've kind of touched on in a previous video, the one where we talked about kind of the pricing for the Nintendo Switch 2, the Doug Bowser and Bill Trennan we're talking about. If you missed that video, check it out. It's a 20-minute video, but I have timestamps in the video, kind of going through a bunch of different articles, a bunch of different interviews that came out this morning. So let's go ahead and start this up. So first things first, Nintendo has confirmed there's not going to be any eShop music, and there probably won't ever be for the foreseeable future, anyways. And the reason for that is mostly because first and foremost, it's partly because there's videos that now play on the Nintendo Switch eShop, and I guess also performance. They just want the performance to be smooth. Nintendo Switch 2 producer Koichi Kawamoto, I believe is how you pronounce his name, explained it, saying, unlike back then, talking about the Wii era, the eShop now has lots of videos that are showcasing the games. We didn't want to intrude on that, so we don't have music there. That was kind of the big thing that they talked about. And then again, he also mentioned, they wanted to make sure that it was a smooth experience. Like I said in a previous video, a lot of us who have experienced the Switch 1, we know that the experience got a little bit laggy with the Switch 1 eShop, especially as time progressed. So hopefully it's a lot smoother. It is a little disappointing because I really personally love, all the music that they had, especially with the Wii, all the Wii channels that they had, the Me channel and the Shop channel, and so on and so forth. And some of that music is iconic. Like, it's some of the music that people remember the most from Nintendo to this day, aside from their video game OST. So I wish at least on the home menu there would be a little bit of music and themes, but I don't know if they're going to be doing that either. There's been nothing about that. So that's one thing. Another thing they're not going to have, which is in the same article from Nintendo Everything that we're reporting on it. This is also from an interview with Polygon with Nintendo of America's Bill Trennan. And this is about achievements. And it's pretty obvious at this point if they would have had like actual, achievements, that it would have been something they mentioned during the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, excuse me. But one thing I did note personally as well is something that Bill Trennan points out. So he says right here, nope, no achievements. But he says, excuse me, it's worth noting that the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Or sorry, no, that's not Bill Trennan saying it. This is end quotes. This is Polygon saying it, or Nintendo Everything saying it. It's worth noting that The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom will have achievements for their new Nintendo Switch 2 editions, which we talked about in a previous video. If you missed that, I'll try to remember to link it down in the description below. It has to do with Zelda notes and all that, which is free for everybody. But again, that's limited to these titles. Mario Kart World also seems to have its own system in place, which Nintendo has yet to detail. Yes, I think this is Nintendo Everything specifically that's reporting on this. There's too many reports. It's going through like kind of like a chain, right? It's going from like Bill Trennan in the Polygon interview to Nintendo Everything through me to you. Like, man, it's a chain reaction. A domino effect. What do you guys think? No achievements. But yeah, again, it seems like as though we've seen this in I think it was the Treehouse Live footage. I think there was something that was like drive so many distance or something, and like a sort of like in-game achievement popped up. So I think Nintendo was going to do this maybe on a game-to-game basis. It'd be nice to see it in more sort of games, but it's not going to be a system-based thing. That means like third-party games, most of them probably not going to have any sort of achievements or anything like that. So that's disappointing. Beyond that, we got one more thing to talk about, and that is that the Nintendo Switch 2 sticks, this is not just the Joy-Con. Nintendo Everything says Joy-Con in their report, but this is also, the new Pro Controller, whatever else. No Hall effect sticks. Now, Hall effect sticks are basically a little bit more precise. They're I think they're like no friction kind of sticks. They have longer, there's more longevity to them, and more kind of, again, accuracy, precision, excuse me, different things like that. So these are not Hall effect sticks, but there is something that worth noting, and I'll talk about in just a second here. So basically, in a recent interview, Nintendo of America's Nate Bildorf, I think is how you pronounce his last name, sorry if I'm butchering it, reiterated that the Joy-Con 2 controllers have been redesigned from the ground up. So that is something they keep reiterating. This is not just like, oh, we're taking the Joy-Cons that we, or sort of the Joy-Cons for the Switch 1, and we're just going to build upon it. They started from the ground up. As if they were just kind of making these things for the first time. So they're not using even the Switch 1, even though these are Joy-Cons and they're similar to the Switch 1, they're rebuilt. Same thing with the Pro Controller, by the way. So anyways, he says it was confirmed, though, that they do not make use of the Hall effect sticks, is what it goes on to say. So that, there was hope that they were going to use that, because Hall effect sticks might have meant, it might have been something that they could utilize to avoid drift, which has been a serious issue for a while, unfortunately. But as Nintendo of Everything points out at the bottom of their article, it's possible that Joy-Con drift could still be eliminated, or at least addressed significantly with the new controllers, but not via Hall effect sticks. Now, it's worth noting that one of the terms that they keep using, there's like the whole developer kind of blog on Nintendo's website. There's like, I think, 4 parts, and it went up as soon as the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct was done. And that is, they were talking about the sticks, and they've really kind of tried to create this sort of new, I guess, I don't know, mechanism of sorts. They're calling it glide. I think it was like glide sticks, or smooth glide, or glide effect, or something. I can't remember what they were calling it. Something about gliding, right? And smooth gliding. But it seems that everybody who's tried the Joy-Cons sticks and the Pro Controller sticks, they're all saying the same thing, that these sticks are very smooth. They're like buttery smooth. So I don't know what Nintendo did to these sticks, but as per usual, Nintendo likes to kind of do their own thing and kind of engineer their own stuff. So even though these are not Hall effect sticks, it seems as though it's probably something that still is something that they really kind of put work into. Of course, coming from the Switch 1 and the whole, Joy-Con stick drift and whatnot, which became a whole like lawsuit and whatever. They don't want to deal with that again, right? They don't want to deal with that kind of stuff. They didn't say anything about the Stick 1 Joy-Con drift, or sorry, the Switch 1 drift, but obviously, if they're going into this and they're like, hey, we got to make these sticks better. We got to make them more kind of durable and have longevity. And so even if they're not using Hall effect sticks, I think that whatever they're doing to this, and the first impressions people have heard so far, it sounds like these sticks are way better than what we've had on the Switch 1, and they feel way better. Now, the question is, will they end up getting any kind of issues the more you use them over long periods of time? We can't tell until we start getting these things out to the public. You would assume that Nintendo would have rigorously, is that the word? Yeah, tested these things out and put them kind of through the whole, testing and really kind of did their work, right, to make sure, like, hey, these things are going to hold up over time. So I think it's going to be good. I think hopefully, we're going to be okay with these sticks, even if it's not using Hall effects. So anyways, let me know what you think about all this news down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this one, leave a like, subscribe for more. Stick around for a bunch of more Nintendo content, because listen, there's a lot of Nintendo Switch 2 content. There's video ideas that I still haven't even been able to get to, because more news keeps coming out. So it's gonna be a while to get through all the content, and that's just right now. That's assuming no more new stuff comes up. So stick around for more, and until the next one, my friends, game on. Thanks for watching. But you would assume that Nintendo would have really you would have assumed that Nintendo would have, you would assume that Nintendo would have rigorously you would assume that Nintendo would have oh my gosh, man. Why is it such a hard word to say? I can't say it. You would assume that Nintendo would have... I'm done.